Hello. I'm worried that like everyone's having lunch and no one's around to chat, but I await the first person who will tune in with me. I'm excited. It's been a while. How do I keep like the people who are watching this back entertained? Meanwhile, like I'm sat here alone talking to a screen. I guess I could tell you guys who are perhaps watching this later on what I've sort of been reading recently. I've been reading so many things. So yeah, like one of the best things I've read this summer is The Master's Tools Will Never Dismantle the Master's House. Hello, Moonjin King. Nice to meet you. How are you doing? I was like trying to keep the people who hadn't arrived yet entertained for the people who are going to watch this later, maybe, talking about this book that is incredible and highly recommend reading if you're interested in like feminism or racism or just like societal oppression in general, like the systemic ways that the world is put together to either like advantage or disadvantage certain people. It's a really good book, and it's really short, and it's only £1 British. So nice. What are you guys up to? How's your summer going? Where are you from? Tell me. What have you been reading as well? I'd love to know. Get some recommendations. Romanian, cool. Nice. Are you there now? Do you live abroad? Thanks for joining, by the way. It's really nice to chat with people. Can you hear me well? Not sure if the AC is like too loud. The Forever War by Joe Haldeman. Oh, nice. I live in the UK as well. Where? Do you live in England, Scotland, Wales, or Northern Ireland? Hi, Vivian. That's cool. I've never been to Hungary. England, cool. Which city? And Vivian, do you live in Hungary or are you living abroad? Ooh, The Forever War sounds really good. Are you enjoying it? I love science fiction. I'm actually also reading The Time Machine, but in Arabic. I'm reading Elet al-Zaman, and I found like a bilingual copy, so it's like, it's pretty nice. I've already read The Time Machine, but I decided to reread it in Arabic. Near Budapest, cool, Budapest. I live in Coventry, nice. I've never been to Coventry either. Dope. So how did you guys learn English? Did you learn it at school or yeah, I love H.G. Wells. I love The Time Machine. It's like, it's really good. Favorite science fiction novels? That picture at the back of the book looks like a UFO. It does look like a UFO, which is not technically what The Time Machine looks like as described by H.G. Wells, but it's chill. Do you read science fiction, Vivian? Just trying to get into it. Let me see, what is some of my favorite sci-fi that like really got me into it? Honestly, I would watch like cool, that's really cool. Who's your favorite like poet? And what's been the best nonfiction book you've read this year? The best nonfiction book I've read this year has by far been Other Minds. It's so good. It's like so fascinating, these creatures. Cephalopods, they're really cool. Do you like to read about like animals or nature or history? I actually just saw a jellyfish for the first time yesterday, like in person. But like, I'm pretty sure it wasn't alive, which is unfortunate because it was quite near the shore. And I hear that if they probably washed up if they're on the surface just floating about. They're usually deeper in the ocean. Jellyfish love eating human flesh. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure it wasn't alive because I did not get stung. And yeah, if it was in the vicinity, I would have definitely gotten stung if it was alive. Best nonfiction was Salonika by Mark Mazur. It is about the history of the city of Salonika and the different ethnic and religious groups that lived there in different ages. Cool. So you're into the history stuff. That's cool. I've never heard of Salonika. Where is Salonika? Is Arabic your first language? Yes. Egyptian is my mother tongue. Assalamu alaikum. What's your first language? Is it Romanian? Hello, Zoe. How are you doing? So nice to have you here. Join us. How's your day been? We're just talking about like books and languages. So let us know what you're reading and how your languages are going. I'm good, thank you. Having a wonderful day so far. This is probably the highlight, talking to you guys. Are there famous Egyptian writers? Yes, there are. Naguib Mahfouz is really famous, and who else is an Egyptian writer specifically? There's so many, but I honestly don't read much Arabic. Like The Time Machine is one of the first books I've been trying to read more Arabic by using, because written and spoken Arabic are very different to each other. So reading is like significantly more difficult for me than speaking or listening. Literally the first time ever watching a live stream. Oh, thank you so much for joining my live stream. It's part of the Ottoman Empire and part of Greece now. Its modern name is Thessaloniki. That's so interesting. That's so cool. I was watching a Turkish show with my cousin last week, Ertugrul, I think it's called, and it's basically about the tribe that was dominant before the Ottoman Empire, or like one of the tribes that existed. There were so many like kingdoms and tribes and things, but this particular one, I'm pretty sure by the end of the show, like it just tells the story of their coming into power, and then the Ottoman Empire is the one that follows. So that's really cool. These are so interesting, reading sci-fi and history and living in Nepal and stuff. How come you don't speak Romanian anymore? Or hardly? Just finished Into Thin Air. Hi, Charnaya, how you doing? You know, I think I saw on Instagram that you just finished Into Thin Air, and I was eyeing it on my bookshelf today, thinking like, should I bring it back with me for next year? Am I gonna get into that? I do love like a good adventure story. How you doing? What you reading? How's your languages going? Let us know. All right, noted. I will try to give it a read. Got a little party going, guys. I'm good, thank you. I'm having a great day with you guys. Chilling, talking about books. One of my favorite things to do. Okay, let me show you another book I've been recently reading. Actually, these books I haven't been like reading, but I've been like working through with friends. Language, logic puzzles, and logic puzzles. So language puzzles and logic puzzles by Dr. Gareth Moore, who is great, by the way. If you're ever trying to find a logic puzzle book, I highly recommend Dr. Gareth Moore. He's written so many, and they're so like good. They're split up usually into like beginner level, intermediate, and advanced. So even if you've never solved a logic puzzle before, like he'll walk you through it. It's really chill. Oh, I'm so glad that you guys are all here and chilling. Yes, this is Zoe's first live stream, which is such an honor. Like, I love your channel so much, and I think your videos are so great. And like, it's such an honor that you're attending only my second live stream. I haven't actually done this very much. I keep saying like, I want to do more live streams. I want to connect with my community, but I don't know. I'm just very much a morning person, but I'm also aware that a lot of people are awake like later in the day, and this is sort of lunchtime if you're living in the UK. So I was worried that people wouldn't show up. Oh, thank you, Zoe. What have you been up to today, Charnaya? Tell me. How's Nepali going, Zoe? And Moonching King and Vivian, are you guys learning any languages, or you just sticking to your bilingual selves? First time I'm meeting you guys. Also, please hit me up with music recommendations, guys. Like, I'm always looking for better music. Struggling learning French today. Yeah, French is a struggle. It's okay, take it easy. Learning Russian and French, and I'd like to learn Mandarin and Arabic one day. Whoa, that's so cool. I'm really interested in Russian. I think it sounds gorgeous. And Mandarin as well is like such a beautiful language. Arabic, I'm obviously for, and you know, maybe that you can, you know, learn some Arabic on my channel. I'm hoping to start making more Arabic content, so I'm excited about that. Nepalese going awesome. Haven't had proper classes for a couple weeks. Fair enough. But have you been practicing with native speakers and stuff? I personally would find that so stressful to try to talk to natives, but I've heard it can help, you know. Honestly, I'm starting to think that like there's no hierarchy of languages where some are more difficult than others, because you know every language has its quirks, and some languages will help you learn other languages, but it's each language is just so has so much history and so much vocabulary. Like it's such a massive task to take on, but you guys inspire me so much to keep learning, because like this community on YouTube, the language learning community, is incredible. The office I just started interning works almost entirely in Nepali. Oh, that's awesome. And you're staying with a family as well. That's really cool. And those are like environments where I'm sure like you're encouraged to speak without like the pressure of like having to introduce yourself to a stranger if you're working with people and you're staying with people. That's really awesome. Oh, I guess I'm not very good at live streams because I don't know how to like fill in the blanks. Thank you guys for coming though. I really appreciate it. My day's been great so far. It's still pretty early. It's almost 2 p.m. Did my yoga practice and went to have breakfast with my grandma. And yeah, I think I read a bit of Elet Zaman, which is The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. I got a bilingual copy in the bookstore last week. And yeah, just been chilling since then. Excited about this live stream all morning. Like I woke up and I was like, I'm ready. But then I decided to wait a bit to see if like, you know, as the time zones across the world change, more people would be awake at this time. Yeah, I feel you. It is kind of stressful, but you guys are so lovely, so I don't feel that stressed. But you can talk about a lot, Shania. You like learn languages and you draw. You could do a drawing live stream, honestly. I think that would be awesome. I'd definitely watch it. I've been drawing more as well, like as a meditative activity, because I feel like so much of what I do is like so oriented towards like trying to accomplish something, and I just wanted to do something that I knew that I'm not particularly good at drawing, but it's fun. It's really peaceful to just like color something in or like trace an outline of something, shade, and like it's enjoyable. What else do you guys like to do for fun? We know that we're all language learners here. We all love books. Anybody else draw? Anybody make music, play instruments? I've been playing guitar for like quite a long time now, actually, but for the longest time, I didn't really actively try to learn more. And these days, I've been like trying to practice more and trying to learn the scales and trying to like really push myself musically. But yeah, like some people just have like natural affinities for certain activities, but I don't think that should de-incentivize any of us to like do fun things like make art. Like everyone has a right to do that. It's your favorite form of art, guys. So many hobbies I don't even know. I think reading is the top one. Yeah, that's really fun. Embroidery and crafting. That's so cool. Oh, making a video on it. That's so exciting. I've never tried embroidery. I think I did like, I don't know, crochet with my mom because she's really into that, but I've never tried embroidering. I have thought like learning to like sew and learning some like practical skills would be really good so that I wouldn't have to subscribe to this like fast fashion industry. And so if something like got torn, I could just fix it. But I'm not sure if that's what embroidery is. Embroidery is more like design, right? Educate me. I'm not sure. Yes. Mostly embroidered denim jackets or little patches. That's so cool. Can also be to men clothes. That's really cool. I think what other hobbies I have. Recently, I've just been like doing outdoor activities, so like swimming and walking, and not a fan of running anymore. That used to be a thing in my life, and it's not anymore. But yeah, I could use Stan to be more crafty. I feel like I'm a big fan. I really loved your video about like putting up art on your walls and decorating your place because it's something that I've recently like redone in my room and trying to do that more like wherever I go, just like put up more art on the walls and like design things so that I feel more comfortable. Secondhand denim jacket and do patches. That's awesome. I've also been trying to read The Little Prince, but in Japanese. Um, and it's actually like really interesting. I love reading like illustrated books in different languages because it really helps like put things into context. But I only have the physical copy in English. What languages have you guys read this book in? Because it's a pretty popular, like internationally published book. The number keeps like dipping back and forth between like 2 and 4. So if you're new here, say hello. Let me know if you're watching. And this is these are the first few minutes you're watching. Let me know how you're doing, how your day is going, what you've been reading, how your languages are. I have an idea for like a more planned live stream, but I'm not sure if people would be into it, so I'm kind of holding off. Thinking about reading in English, some books I've already read in Russian, but you don't know. Why don't you know? You should do that. That sounds awesome. I'm really enjoying reading a book that I've already read and already love in a language that I'm trying to improve. It's a really, really good method because you're not completely in the like blind trying to like make your way and like put the meanings together. Even when you have like the parallel text to a book that you haven't already read before, you can't really get the feel of it, but when you've already read it, like it's really helpful. Sherlock Holmes. How do you spell Holmes? I think you've just confused the S and the E. But yeah, Arthur Conan Doyle is like, I mean, it's Old English as well. What's my favorite book? That's like the most difficult question you could possibly ask me right now. I don't know. What's my favorite book? Oh God. I've had like so many favorites. Usually my favorite book is just the book that I'm currently reading if I really am enjoying it. But no, I can't answer that question, honestly. What's your favorite book? What's everybody's favorite book, guys? Leave your favorite book in the chat. What's my favorite book? There are so many good books out there. I think we're all just like too into reading to make that kind of decision. I love sci-fi as well. The Gemma Doyle trilogy. I've never heard of it. Yeah, Vivian and Tornai are on my level. Like the closest we can get is a genre. I also love sci-fi. I don't know if my favorite like thing to read is sci-fi. There are so many just beautiful books. Oh, by Libba Bray. I've heard so much about Libba Bray on BookTube. So many good things. Definitely want to read something that she's written. She seems cool. Yeah, way too many favorites. I mean, I have a whole video about my favorite books, but that's definitely plural. It's like 20 minutes long and it has so many books in it. And that I still don't feel like I covered all of the ones. I probably missed a handful. So yeah, it's really, really difficult question. I'm currently also reading because I have a problem with like starting books and not finishing them. But this is a short story collection, so it's okay. Making excuses. At the Mouth of the River of Bees by Key Johnson. It's really good. It's kind of magical realist. And they're all so different. Like so far I've read like 4 stories and they're all completely different. Highly, highly recommend that book as well. That's all the books I have with me here. Where do you guys get your book recommendations? Like, is it usually from a friend or from the internet or from Goodreads? Yeah, it's honestly great. Like, if you like magical realism, I think that would probably be definitely top 3 favorite genres, like sci-fi, magical realism, and then maybe nonfiction. I find nonfiction books so illuminating, and like especially when they're like political or historical. Themis flies? Looking it up. I have so many books to read by the end of this live stream. She falls through the earth. She wakes up at the bottom of a square-shaped hole, its walls glowing with intricate carvings. But the firemen who come to save her peer down upon something even stranger, a little girl in the palm of a giant metal hand. Whoa. And then it's 17 years later, and people are searching for answers. And there's a physicist to track down the hand's code. Whoa, this seems interesting. That seems really cool. I honestly haven't finished a series of books in so long. What was the last like fantasy series I was reading was the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. It's like high fantasy, but it's so approachable. Oh yeah, I go through slumps all the time, but that's awesome that you've finally gone back into it. I imagine it's because of your degree and like being so busy reading like the stuff you're supposed to read. But yeah, I never actually finished the Mistborn series either. But it was fantastic while I was reading it. So the next series I try to read, I'll keep Sleeping Giants in mind. I think the last series I finished, though, was the Chaos Walking trilogy. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's by Patrick Ness, and it's so good. It's so good. When I was reading it, I was like so absorbed in it. And he does a lot of really interesting things, like in format. I can actually get it. Show you guys. Okay. Whoops. So look at this. Like, isn't this so cool? Like, this serves a really, really, really like important point in the book. It's so good. Yeah, it has like a lot to say, honestly. And it's just really well written, and you've heard about it but haven't read it. Yeah, like I highly recommend this book. I love books where the author is really good at creating like different voices for different situations or different characters, because a lot of the time I'm reading something and I'm like, I can't tell like certain situations apart. They all kind of sound the same, or like it's overly descriptive and it's not different. Hi Oleg, how you doing? Nice to see you. We're talking about our favorite books / just book recommendations in general, so feel free to share what you're reading at the moment, what your favorite things that you've read have been. Zoe asked what our favorite books are, and a few of us agreed. We can't decide. We're too like, we love books way too much to be able to like discriminate and say like one is truly superior. I guess if I had to say one was truly superior, it would have to be The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which I'm honestly ashamed that it took me like 10 minutes to reach that conclusion, where I've had that conclusion for a while, but again, it's really difficult to discriminate against all the other books out there. American Gods by Neil Gaiman. And you listened to it? Was he narrating it, or was there a different narrator? I watched the show, and I think I read like the first few chapters of the book, but I never finished it. He only narrates parts. Interesting. It's a full cast of actors. That's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, it is pretty cool. I mean, how original can something that's based off of a mythology really be? Or do you mean the plot is original? I think Neil Gaiman is a genius, though. Either way, like, he wrote The Sandman, which is one of the best series of comic books or graphic novels that like has ever existed. So it amazes me when like authors have written like literally tens of books. I'm just like, how do you write so many? The idea that ancient gods live among us as ordinary people is pretty interesting. Yeah, that is really cool. It's pretty cool. What's everyone's favorite like ancient civilization? Maybe because I'm not used to reading fantasy. I don't know. I personally haven't read a book where that was like the main concept. There have definitely been books about gods though, and like their relationship to humans. I mean, most of the ancient poets talked about those kinds of mythologies. You like ancient American civilizations? You mean like the Aztecs and like Babylonians, etc.? Cool. I'm obviously all about that ancient Egyptian life. It's really cool. I found out recently that the word mish, which is like the negation in Egyptian Arabic. So if I wanted to say I'm feeling good, ana kwayesa, and if I'm not feeling good, ana mish kwayesa, right? So the mish is the negation. That is like not Arabic. I my whole life I've been speaking Egyptian Arabic, and so like I was taught that as if it was just part of the Arabic language. Turns out that it's an ancient Egyptian word. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people have that like Egyptology phase because it's like such an old civilization. I actually, for an Egyptian, I know very little like ancient Egyptian history. Like, I know the buzzwords, you know, like Cleopatra, Nefertari, like Nefertiti, Tutankhamun, like just Giza pyramids. But I could do better on my history in general. And I've learned like a fraction of ancient Greek history. Nowhere near enough, though, to like get it or have an idea of it that's holistic. How's your day been so far? What have you been up to? What's everyone's time zone like? You guys in the evening at the moment or midday? 3 p.m. 15. Pretty sure that's 3 p.m. Oleg. It's almost 6 p.m. here in Nepal. Actually, wow. I would think Nepal was much later than that. Wow. 2 p.m. All right, we're about in the same time zone, guys. Like basically, like 3 and 2 is. It's also 2 p.m. here, actually. So, Vivian, you and me are in the same time zone. I live in England, but at the moment I'm in Egypt, in Cairo. Been living here this summer. It's been so refreshing. The sunlight is like always out. The sky is almost always clear. And like even when there are clouds, they're nothing like English clouds. Like English clouds are massive and they're so dense and the sun doesn't get through. And here it's like a wisp across the sky and then it like goes away in a bit. It is such a beautiful country. It's been such a lovely trip to be back with like family and see old friends, and you always wanted to go to Cairo. I mean, if you come to Egypt, do not just come to Cairo. You have to go to so many places, especially the Mediterranean Sea. Like it's gorgeous and the sand is so soft and it's just so beautiful. We have like the best seas in the world. Like we have the best shores. I've lived in England for 2 years now for my university degree. So 2 years ago I graduated and then I went to university for a degree in philosophy. And now I'm almost done. I have like 1 more year left to go and dissertations are right, and then I'll be graduated and I have no idea what I'm gonna do after. So don't ask me that. You wish you had more rain in Belarus. You're tired of hot weather. I mean, here's the thing. I lived in Egypt for 17 years before I moved. And it was hot every single day, basically, except for like a week in winter. And I can tell you, when you live in a country that rains constantly, where the season is like mostly winter and autumn, except for like a month in the summer where it's warm, but it still sometimes rains, like you don't want rain in your life. Sunlight is the best thing you can do for yourself. Like it's so good for you. Obviously not consistently for 24 hours a day or without enough hydration, but that's fair enough. Like, you know, people get used to their environments and they don't really appreciate them as much as they could if they left and then came back and like realized all of the good things about them. Hot and humid is the worst. We've got a dry heat here in Egypt, which is wonderful. In school, they used to tell us like "مناخ في مصر معتدل," which means the weather in Egypt is like temperate or it's like average or like, I don't know, like equalized. معتدل is like normal or regular. And everyone would contest that. They'd be like, no way, like, it's not regular. It's not regular to be like 40 degrees in the summer. And everyone was just so sick of the hot weather. But you leave and you go to places where seasons exist, because I never had the concept of a season before I moved. And then literally, like every few months, the weather will completely change and there'll be completely different weather conditions. And then you come back and you realize, oh yeah, mas nagawa din. Like it is normal, or like average, or like it's just consistent, I guess. Like that's what they mean. Your home in West Australia is so hot and dry, so it definitely took a while to adjust to Asia's humidity. Yeah, like that's something that I'm not looking forward to, the humidity of Asia, but I just can't wait to travel to Asia in general. So I'm sure it'll make up for it. It does rain in Egypt, but very rarely. This year we've had kind of a few rains in like March and April, I think. I wasn't here at the time, but the issue when it rains in Egypt is that we don't have like water irrigation systems. So it floods the roads basically, because yeah, we're not prepared for the rain, because it rains like so few days a year. Like I'm pretty sure when I was living here, it would rain like 1 week of a year, and then for the rest of the 365 days, like no rain. It's great. Those were the days. Yeah, like the thing I hate most about England is the weather, like for sure. But there's a lot of things, like I feel like it's a trade-off, honestly, in a lot of places where like you give up the pleasant weather for a more organized society, or I don't know, less bureaucracy or something. It's pretty how in summer in Israel, but we still have rainy winters and snows in some places. Yeah, that's cool. I wish it snowed in Egypt. It did actually a few years ago. Global warming, my friends. But yeah, only in like really high altitude places. But now where you live. Leave us in suspense, Oleg. What happens now where you live? But not where you live. Oh. Fair enough. It doesn't snow where you live. That's fair. Like when it snowed in Egypt that one time in Cairo, actually, which is like unheard of. It snowed not where I lived. Actually, winters here are surprisingly cold. Like usually think like the temperatures don't get very low. It gets as low as like 13 degrees, 12. Very rarely goes under 10. But when it does, it's like the indoors that's the coldest, because our houses are made to like remove heat, because it's so hot all the time. So you don't want the heat to stay in, but then the heat doesn't stay in over winter either. It snowed once on a mountain down in southwest of Australia and everyone freaked out. I can just imagine, like, that's literally what happened when it snowed in Cairo. People were like, what is happening? Like, how? Like, how is this? Like, they just couldn't comprehend. I really want to go to Australia, actually. I really want to go because the sand and the beaches, they look so serene. It looks like everyone is so chilled out there. Yeah, same. I've grown up to appreciate like Egypt so much more now that I've like moved away and basically haven't visited for a long period of time for the past 2 years. yeah, when you live in a place all the time, you do. You just normalize to all of your surroundings, and you don't find the beauty in them anymore. You don't really appreciate them, but that's why travel is so valuable. Because then when you go home, it's like, I love this place so much. It's What's the coldest temperature all of you have ever been in? I mean, some of you are from Eastern Europe, so it might be kind of a stupid question to ask, but coldest temperature? One or two, like very, very mild compared to some places that can go like as low as like -30. -35. Oh my god. I just I just can't imagine how your body is it just can't exist in that space. You were born in Eastern Europe, so yeah, it's been pretty cold. Denmark, and it was -2 degrees. Yeah, I just have realized this summer, like, my body is built for the heat. Like, I can take such high temperatures, but I literally get cold at like 15 degrees Celsius. I'm like, I need a light sweater. Meanwhile, people in Canada are like going out in their like usually -10, -20 in winter. At home, we all think it's freezing when it's 10 degrees. Yeah, maybe around -15, but usually it doesn't get that cold in Hungary. Fair. But does it get windy? Because I found like in England, one of the coldest things about it is the wind. It's not the temperature. Like it can be like 0 degrees or even 10 degrees, but the wind is just biting, just like crawls through your clothes and any layers you have on. What's the word for cold in all of your languages? In Arabic, it's sa'a or talg. Talg is ice. Talg. I don't know what ice is in Japanese. Cold is samui or tsumetai. Wind and humidity is the worst. Really? I've never experienced like both wind and humidity. Whoa, I cannot read that. Could you like write the way to pronounce that? But it looks so cool. Like, I really am interested in learning a new script, something more hideg. Shaleg is snow and kira is ice. It's cool. Chiso. Chiso or kiso? Chiso. That's awesome. I'm considering learning like Sanskrit, but I actually don't know if the script is the same because a lot of them look really similar to me, like Thai and Nepali and Hindu, and there's a bunch of these languages from similar areas. I can't differentiate, but that's fair because I haven't studied them. Similar, but not quite the same. Yeah. Sneg and Liot. That's so cool. Hindi and Nepali use the same script. Urdu is similar, very similar. Nice. Thank you for teaching me. Yeah, I wonder if Sanskrit uses the Hindi script. Apparently the group is called a Brahmic script, so includes Tibetan and Thai, Burmese, Balinese, Sudanese, Brahmic scripts. I have to go do some chores, but thank you for a great live stream. Thank you so much for joining. Good luck with your chores. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for coming, and you're such a wonderful presence to have in the live stream. Thank you. Shelek, Kira. I feel like I'm pronouncing them wrong, of course. No way I'm pronouncing them right just by reading the English phonetics. What's everyone's favorite word in their language? It's my favorite word in the language. All right, then your spelling is pretty good. Sneg. The odds. I don't know. There's so many just such beautiful languages, and I'm almost certain I'm not built to be able to speak more than like 4, if that many. Like if I ever actually become fluent in 4 languages, I think that's going to be my capacity. Sneg. Oh, really? Hideg? Cool. What's your favorite language? What's your favorite word in your languages? Favorite word in Hungarian, favorite word in Russian, favorite word in Hebrew. I'm trying to think of my favorite word in Arabic, but finding it difficult. Because there are words that I enjoy the sound of, but I don't necessarily enjoy their meanings. And then there are words that can only be expressed in a language that has that word, So in Arabic, there are certain words that you can't really describe to people in English. But I put myself on the spot. I put all of you on the spot. I'm sorry. It's not the best way to figure it out. I don't know. So yeah, I want to do a philosophy live stream like quite soon. I don't know if you'd be interested in that. But yeah, I'll try to do it soon. I made the video like a month and a half ago saying that I would do a live stream, and I really was intending on it, but it's just I got no comments being like, yes, live stream. And so not that I need that in order to do something, but it helps to know some people are on board. But yeah, since we didn't really discuss any philosophical things on this live stream, I thought, let's do another one. I'll let you know on Instagram, so if you don't follow me on Instagram, it's Intellect Grime. So yeah. No one can think of favorite words. Huh? It's just like I put you on the spot. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. I'll say a random one. Okay. Chingunka is a railway in Belarusian. Cool. The word for like a rail, like a train line rail thing, is mazla'en in Arabic. Or it's the casual. I don't know if it's the casual word for railway or if it's the formal word, but mazla'en. Does that sound like anything in your languages? Other interesting words for there. I used to have a list. Is that like the name of the metal? Mazla'en? No, it kind of just describes the rail. Like the metal is Hadid. Like Gigi Hadid. Like her name is technically Gigi Metal. The Belarusian word. Is it the name of the metal? Why do you ask, Oleg? Is it the name of the metal or does it sound similar to the metal in Russian? Or in Hebrew? Chigun. Yeah, it's kind of the same. Cool. Neighboring languages. Hey, how you doing? Nice to see you. One of your favorite words in Swedish is vandrahem. To me, it sounds so poetic, like home of the wanderer or something. Nice. Does it actually like phonetically is composed of words that remind you of like home of the wanderer, or is it just the sound that makes you think of that? Swedish has so many interesting words. Like speaking of languages where you can't fully describe like the meaning of a word or translate the meaning of a word, like Swedish has a bunch of those that I've heard of, but thank you for coming on the live stream. It's so nice to see you or like speak to you. Once again, I reiterate, I said this on my last live stream. I wish this could be like a massive Skype call so we could actually talk to each other, because not only is it nerve-wracking for me to feel like I have to like fill in the blanks or the silent spaces, it's also like you guys would probably, you know, make great conversation if you didn't have to like type. Go through the effort of moving your hands. Hem means home, and the verb means wandering or walking. Nice. That's so cool. I love live streams. I'm just never around when they happen. Oh, I'm so glad you caught this one. I'm also never around when they happen. Like the people that I watch that do live streams, like I almost never catch them. So I'm really glad that you caught this one. What language channel did you find, Oleg? Be a reader. Could you please remind me of your name? I'm so sorry. I didn't like catch it in any of your videos, even though I love them and I try to watch them as much as possible, but I just can't remember your name. They bring together people that speak similar languages to guess words from the other language. Ooh, it sounds like a fun series. It's an Iranian guy called Bahadur Alast. All right, I will look him up. Cool. Nice. Thank you for the recommendation. It's okay. You don't remember my name. I don't say it often enough for people that like have watched a couple of videos would be able to know. It's May. This is my name. And I just don't know how to pronounce it now. I don't want to butcher it. But thank you for writing it out for me. And that's the name of the channel. Yeah, I found the channel. It looks cool. They have a bunch of different videos. Persian versus Croatian, Albanian and Romanian, Romanian and Ukrainian. What else? So we're gonna do Arabic and Persian, Turkish and Arabic. That's really cool. I'm actually gonna watch this like once this live stream's over. Lots of Middle Eastern languages. I like that. Educate myself. Ukrainian people try to understand Belarusian words, but I don't remember the channel. Maybe it was the same channel. Who knows? Maybe YouTube was just very kind to their channel and like shared it with a bunch of language learners yesterday. Like I'm still trying to like figure out how to pronounce your name, and I just don't want to say it and butcher it. Like Brea. It's okay. It's fine. Bia Reader is a really cool username. So is B. IPA. No, I've never heard of it. Has anyone heard of IPA? The International Phonetic Alphabet. Okay, cool. They have recordings of native speakers pronouncing any word you like. Nice. So you just put in the word in the language and it'll just tell you. It's very convenient. Nice. That's really useful. Get to know each other, guys. Chat away. Brechtje. Brechtje. Brechtje? Is that how you pronounce it? Cool. The kh is an Arabic sound that I can totally pronounce. So I'm so glad. From the Netherlands. Yeah, we've got kh and we've also got gh, which is like more guttural. And we have a lot of like, in Arabic, I don't know why, but our alphabet has a lot of distinctions where a lot of other languages will just make the one letter version of that sound. So the K, for example, we have K, we have Qaf, which is like a more intense K, and we have del, and we have dod, which is like a more intense D. And so yeah, kha, and then we have gha, which is a more intense kha. So you should pronounce khera with that sound. What is khera? No, the sound at the end, regular K. Kerach. That's ice. Oh. Fair enough. Cool, kerach. Good to know. Reminds me of Georgian. I think they have similar sounds to the ones you mentioned, and to me they almost sound the same. Yeah, I don't know how I would. Ice is telg in Arabic. Telg. Like telg. I wouldn't know how to describe it to someone who hasn't heard the language so much that they can distinguish it with their ears, because I don't remember how it was taught to me. Del and dod, del and dod. I don't even know if I can like imagine what the structure is that allows me to say it differently. It's just a more intense version. That's all I can say. And snow, it's also talg. Like we're a desert, man. Like we don't have snow, so we don't need like 10 different words to describe different sorts of it. Belarusian has 2 G sounds, but it's 1 letter. Oh, so like based on the word, like you'd pronounce it differently, but there's not an actual letter that distinguishes them. We only have 1 G in Arabic. Gim. I've never heard a second version of that. That's cool. Like sounds. Yeah, I would love to hear examples of this G situation. I'm trying to look up, like, I'm trying to cheat and find like my favorite Arabic word online from like lists of interesting Arabic words. But the words online are not very interesting, to be honest. They're very like normal. So hello from Johannesburg. Nice. Hello, Kay. Oh my God, Kay, it's so nice to have you on a live stream. How are you doing? How's your day been so far? Let us know. We are here talking about languages and like different words. I'm trying to find some interesting Arabic words to share with y'all. I guess this is an interesting like saying or like phrase. So it's dam khafif. So dam is blood and khafif is light. So if someone is like light-blooded, if someone andu dam khafif, someone has light blood, it means they're like funny or witty or like, making light of the situation. But it's interesting that we use the word blood to describe that. Dam khafif. Blood is the same in Hebrew, dam. Yeah, they're similar languages. I guess My favorite letter in the Arabic language would have to be the it's the one that usually English speakers can't pronounce. Khafif. Khafif means light. So like something is heavy versus something khafif. It's light. So to like, I guess, which is freedom. And ruh, or the way I would, the 7 would like stand for the letter that I'm trying to pronounce. Hurriyan, ruh. I really like words that have that letter in them. Some words like ganak or guzik, which has a G, which is like G in Russian, but only a few of them. He's like, I probably butchered those. A Dutch word I really like is outblowing. Means something like letting the wind blow through something, but usually used to describe going for a walk on the beach and letting go of stressful thoughts. That's so cool. Outblowing. That's it sounds almost like a German word. Like Germans are very literal with how they compose words and their meanings, but then there can be like a metaphorical value to them. For example, like being out and letting the wind blow all your worries away. My name sounds more like Hannah. How would a G sound more like an H? Would it be like g, g? In Afrikaans, we have a similar phrase, blowing a chance, which means taking a break. Nice. Cool. What's a way to describe like a rest or raha? Raha would be to take a break. Again, I really like words that have the sound. It's basically like closing your throat and then trying to like breathe through it. Raha. Ruh. Actually, raha and ruh sound very similar. I wonder if they come from each other because ruh is soul and raha is break. Afrikaans has so many cool compound words. Brechja, have you ever tried to learn Afrikaans? You've studied so many languages, so I'm not sure if you've studied Afrikaans. Hebrew, you have the same word for wind and spirit. Interesting. In Arabic, wind is hawa. And I don't actually know what spirit would be specifically, but like spirit sounds a lot like soul. In Dutch, we often just borrow foreign words, but thinking up new words is so much cooler. Yeah, this is what I mean. Like, Dutch as a Germanic language would have to be like a very versatile language where you could just combine different words to make a cooler meaning. It's awesome. You can sort of do that in Arabic, but you can't really like combine different words as much as you can create like a different type of word from any word. So like there are certain structures that mean that someone is doing the action, or like other structures that mean that it's a noun, or it's doing the action, or someone's doing the action to it, or whatever. And then you can create those kinds of things for words that don't necessarily fit into that type. I don't know if that's a good explanation, but it's something that native speakers do like pretty easily. You can just like create a verb out of a noun because you can just make it into the same structure that it would be if it was a verb. I never really studied Afrikaans, but I want to. I read one kid's book in Afrikaans, and there were some differences with Dutch, but it was easy enough to understand. Really? Okay. I guess it's the historical aspect. Yeah, the Afrikaans being a Dutch dialect, or, you know, being so heavily influenced by Dutch. Fair. Cool. Let me try to think of like an example of this thing I tried to describe to you guys. How would you create like a verb? Because you do it so naturally as well that it technically becomes a word, but it's not like in the dictionary. Oh, a cool Egyptian word or a cool Arabic word is mahragan. Yeah, in Arabic, you can just like make verbs if you want. Yeah, I would say Afrikaans is probably heavily influenced by the Dutch language as opposed to being rooted in and like being a variation of Dutch. Like I'm sure it also has many other influences, including the native tongue of the region. Okay, you missed like a pretty long book conversation about like our favorite books and like what books we're currently reading. So like, let me know what you're currently reading and like if you have a favorite book, because I basically struggled for like 10 minutes to think of a book that I would truly put above all other books because I just love books so much. It feels wrong to discriminate. But then again, 10 minutes later, I was like, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Of course. No, Melvin. No. I will not do that. Hosian languages, Malay, Indonesian. Yeah. It's not just vocabulary that's different, but also grammar, verb conjugation, etc. Oh, it's okay, Vivian. Thank you for coming. It was lovely to meet you. Hope to see you in another live stream soon. Have a wonderful day. No. Do I have a favorite Japanese word? One of my favorite Japanese words I recently learned was komorebi, which is the shade that is created by light coming through leaves. So it's a very specific word, and I love that it exists because this is something I notice all the time in my daily life when I'm like walking around. I'm like, oh, the shade looks so beautiful here, but I could never describe it like komorebi. It's that patchy like shade that comes from. Oh my God. Yeah. So komorebi would definitely be like currently my favorite Japanese word. I just read Deep Work by Colleen Newport, which has the potential to seriously change things in my life. I think I've heard of that. I think I heard of that on Thomas Frank's channel. But I could be wrong. Is it like a psychology or I guess a self-help book? Hello, Hocus Pocus. Marhaba. Yeah, that's where I first heard about it. Cool. It's about like achieving focus, right? Interesting. Yeah. I would love to read this one actually. I'm constantly like, there are so many distractions in the modern day. I completely agree. Have I read China Miéville? No, I have not. I assume that's an author? Yeah. I think you may have recommended him to me before. But no, I have not had the chance to read their books yet. I think I'll really enjoy the novels. Is it because it's magical realism-esque? Or is it philosophical? What do you like about the novels when you read them? Cool. I'll definitely check it out. At the moment, I am like trying to restrain myself from buying books that I won't read for like 2 years. Because I read like I accumulate way more books than I actually read, and I feel like a part of me feels bad about it because I don't want to be like attached to material things and I don't want to have to like haul books around. But I know, first of all, if I really cared about like only what was inside the book as opposed to the physical object of the book, then I could just get an e-reader and read things electronically. And that way I wouldn't have the problem of like physically being held down, just like digitally accumulating books. Whereas another part of me is like, no, books are knowledge. Like you're always going to find a use for it, even if that use will eventually be to give it away to someone else who will use it. But still, I just feel bad for the trees that we are cutting down at an enormous rate. The history of the Bolshevik Revolution. Wow, this guy seems pretty interesting. Yet again, redefines fantasy. Yeah, I'm trying not to accumulate books right now, but he's definitely on my list of people to get at least one book by and read soon, I hope. Hocus Pocus! How you doing? Tell me, how's your day going? Tell me, what's your favorite Turkish word? Tell me what your favorite book is. I recently started watching a Turkish show. It's called Ertugrul. I might be pronouncing that wrong. It's about a warrior tribe that existed in the 13th century in the Turkey area. And yeah, I just watched the first episode, but it seemed really well written and really well acted. Yeah, I was trying to learn Turkish 6 months ago, 8 months ago. Around December, I was trying to learn Turkish because I thought I would be going to Turkey, and that did not end up happening. So I kind of took a pause, but I really enjoyed the fact that it was so similar to Arabic. I could not only pronounce the words, but I had a kind of a good basis in the words already, which I'm not having with Japanese at all, which is one of the reasons for my demotivation. There are so many loanwords. And yeah, with Japanese, it's so foreign. Every single part of the language is nothing like I've ever experienced. Which is why my exposure needs to improve. I really need to expose myself to the language way more. I know it thanks to that channel I mentioned. Yes, I will definitely be watching that channel once this live stream is over. It seems really cool. I'd love to improve my vocab with languages that already have Arabic loanwords. I do enjoy audiobooks. It's been quite a while since I listened to one, but I think they're a wonderful way to consume books. Hi, Domi. How you doing? Where are you from? How's your day going? Do you have a favorite word in the language you speak? So just a summary of the conversations we've been having so far, if you'd like to get involved. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Do you have a favorite book? Do you have a favorite word in a language you speak? Do you have a topic of conversation you want to discuss? It's the point of this live stream. Okay, what's your favorite audiobook? Do you prefer audiobooks with the author that narrates, or just, I don't know, are there certain genres of books that you prefer listening to the audiobook for? I think it would be really useful to listen to nonfiction as an audiobook. I'm considering reading *Sapiens*, or reading *Sapiens* as an audiobook, listening to *Sapiens*, because I think Yuval Noah Harari is such a good speaker, and I've basically consumed every interview he's done about his books. Okay, it's okay. It happens. It's all right. I'll notify you guys about the next live stream on Instagram the day of, just like today. So hopefully you can definitely make it to the next one as well. That would be great. But yeah, I do think that listening to the audiobook version of a nonfiction book would be really useful, because I don't know, sometimes nonfiction is not written in the most immersive way. So maybe just having it on kind of like a podcast would be really a good way to actually get through the book faster. I love audiobooks, but it doesn't work very well with philosophy, especially if it's a difficult text. I completely agree with that. Yeah, I tried to listen to a book by Augustine, Leviathan. I tried to listen to Leviathan on audiobook last year. And it did help me actually get through it faster, but I had to be oh God, no. Why would I ever? What? Hobbes. Sorry, not Augustine. Hobbes, you're right. I just don't think Kant was a good writer, and I don't think he should have had the claim that he did, honestly. I haven't listened to enough audiobooks to say. I just listen to books from the productivity genre that I don't want to commit to buying or owning. Interesting. That's fair enough. Yeah, those kinds of books where it's self-help or things that won't necessarily be written in a complex way, but the information that's in them would be really useful. Those are the kinds of books that I would definitely be interested in listening to for audiobooks. So I might do that with deep work. I also really want to read Thinking Fast and Slow, which was also recommended by Thomas Frank. with audiobooks, I find it easier to zone out. Is that like zone out in a bad way? Like you find it easier to stop paying attention or like become distracted, or to zone out from other things and be listening to the book and actually focused? Not sure what you mean by zone out. Yeah, Kant's writing is a mess, but he was a genius. Here's the thing, are those two things possible in the same person? Like, can you be a genius and then not be able to communicate well at all? Because if you can't communicate well, then you can't actually defend or justify the fact that people say that you're a genius. Like, I just don't get it. I just don't get the infatuation with Kant. Like, the basic version of his ideas, like, I understand and I can get behind. Like, yeah, we definitely constitute part of our perceptions. Like, we create the world around us to some extent by like having a structure to our perception. But like beyond that, like the actual arguments behind it, I just don't think he did a good job of like explaining it. The Kemp Smith's translation. Well, hopefully I will never have to read Kant again. So thank you for the recommendation. If anyone is reading Kant at the moment and is at university and has to read Kant, Kemp Smith's translation is Oleg's recommendation. But for me, like, yeah, I just don't ever want to read Kant ever again. Yeah, I started doing other things simultaneously that distract me. I feel that, man. I feel that. This is why, like, even with podcasts, I feel like I put them on and then I'll like walk around doing things, tidying my room or working on something with my hands, and I'll get so absorbed in what I'm doing that I will lose track of the conversation that was happening, and then I'll like snap back into it and be like, what just happened? I have to go back. And it's a whole process. I definitely think it's better to, like, if you're gonna listen to an audiobook, to be listening to that audiobook, or at the very least be doing something very simple like walking, and something not with your hands, because I get very distracted when I do that. I had so much fun reading the first critique recently. If you go really slowly and think about each sentence, it actually makes sense. Yeah, that's what everybody says. You go real slow, taking a sentence at a time. Here's the thing though, like, a sentence at a time. First of all, for Kant, a sentence was a paragraph long that had so many different parts, and they're supposed to all fit together. And then, okay, if you take it a sentence at a time and you understand a sentence by sentence basis, do you actually reach the holistic sense that's supposed to make, where you can actually understand, like, what the chapter meant, or like what it was trying to serve? I really want to just rile against Western philosophy in general in my dissertation. I just want to be like, it's focused on all the wrong things, especially the methods are all wrong. And part of that will be like the really big emphasis on the German idealists like Kant and Hegel. But I just truly don't feel like I actually understand Kant and Hegel enough. I understand Hegel like pretty well. I haven't read everything, but I feel like I have a better idea of Hegel than Kant for sure. The thing with Kant is that he repeats himself a lot, so you can kind of piece together what he means when you read through. It's not good enough for someone who's hailed as the second most important philosopher in the history of philosophy. He is not. He needs to have been a better writer. Like, truly, like, if your ideas are going to have impact, they need to be able to be shared. Like, you can't. I also became interested in Hegel recently. Check out his lectures, very readable. Yeah, I don't mind Hegel as much, to be honest. I still think that he didn't like say anything that was new or revolutionary. Like, all of these things were said thousands of years ago, like thousands of years before Kant and Hegel ever stepped or were created onto this earth. Like, Western philosophy is so focused with of like itself, and it's very insular. But yeah, like it completely doesn't acknowledge the history of Eastern philosophy and the history of philosophy as a whole, as a part of literature, as a part of a lot of different fields. Philosophy was like everywhere in music and art and everything. And it just completely ignores that and says like, oh, only the people who are writing pure philosophy are those people who are making revolutionary changes to the medium or to the discussion. And I just wholeheartedly disagree. But yeah, I just don't feel like I understand Kant enough to have like a critique of Kant in my dissertation. I'm pretty sure if I were to critique Kant in my dissertation, I would have to take up my whole dissertation. So I'm just going to ignore him for the sake of ease. I'm just going to talk about Plato, and then I'm going to talk about contemporary-ish philosophy, like 20th century, 21st century. Skipping over a lot of philosophy, but also hopefully going back into Eastern philosophy, because I'm really excited to like actually include some Eastern philosophy in my dissertation and actually acknowledge the fact that there is a history that goes back further than the pre-Socratics. I think the single most important thing to understand about Kant is what he means by the unity of consciousness. Yes, the transcendental unity of apperception, or the synthetic unity of apperception. Let's save this conversation for the philosophy live stream after, if you don't mind. Like, I am willing to talk about this. I'm just not willing to talk about this right now. And also for the sake of the 3 other people. No, it's so chill. Like, thank you for having this conversation with me. And I do want to have this conversation with you. But just for the sake of the other people who probably don't care about Kant, and for me, who I really don't care about Kant, like I wish I never had to have a conversation about Kant again, but I think it's really important to like have that conversation. Am I currently working on my dissertation? I am reading at the moment. I'm in the research phase, and I kind of like veered off track. If you watch the beginning of this live stream later, you will see that my reading habits have completely like diverted from my dissertation reading. But yeah, it's always on my mind. I am finding things to draw on from all over the place. Like I recently read the first thing I mentioned in this live stream, The Master's Tools Will Never Dismantle the Master's House by Audre Lorde. It's fantastic. So good, especially as an African woman. Okay, I highly recommend this book. And you probably read Audre Lorde before. You seem like a well-read person, but this collection especially is great. And the first essay in it is Poetry is Not a Luxury. And I'm definitely going to use so many quotes from that essay in my dissertation because, yeah, like poetry is just such a big part of what I'm trying to, like the point I'm trying to make about philosophy. And the way that Audre Lorde like describes poetry as like an essential like way to unify your thoughts and unify your feelings and make them understood, and like it being a language of inquiry and a language of exploration and a language of communication of like really complex things made simpler. Yeah, that's basically philosophy. And she's making the argument for me in a lot of ways, but she isn't technically making that argument. So I'm just going to be like drawing on that and putting it into my argument. My topic for the dissertation, I still haven't technically like gotten it approved, but the head of my department is like super chill about it. It's just I have to like clear it with my supervisor. Is going to be about like the form of philosophy, and yes, please check her out. She's fantastic. Yeah, like the form of philosophy, kind of a lot of the stuff I've talked about on this channel about philosophy is going to make its way into it, but better written and better thought out, basically about how specifically analytic philosophy is completely wrong. It's completely wrong. And why it's completely wrong is because it's treating philosophy like a science, and philosophy is not a science. And I have a video about that if you want to go watch it. But yeah, philosophy is not a science because you can't actually reach a truth. Like that's going to be one of the basic assumptions of my dissertation. Like you can't reach like a universal law or a universal principle. It is going to be a very meta dissertation, talking about like the process of teaching philosophy and like what kind of things we read as philosophers and like why we read them and the point of like how we try to make people think about philosophy and how in doing the things that we do when we teach philosophy by giving people arguments to analyze and to try to like pick out the arguments in the text instead of like looking at the literary aspect. As a fan of analytic philosophy, I completely agree about philosophy not being a science. Interesting that you're a fan of analytic philosophy and yet you agree with me about that. Because a lot of people, like, they don't think that those two, like, if you don't agree that philosophy is science, a lot of people don't like analytic philosophy. But, and yeah, just the way that analytic philosophy is told or is written is very systematic, and that just shows that they are assuming that philosophy can reach a fundamental truth, or even, you know, in bite-size chunks. I mean, yes, that is Ivan. Nice to see you. That is why philosophy is called philosophy and not science. And yet philosophers are convinced that it is. And like it is so clear from their writing that they are so convinced that philosophy is a science. And they delude themselves about it. And so I'm just gonna like, there are major differences within the analytic tradition. Like what? I'm just gonna look at philosophy from like a literary perspective and from a practical perspective. So I'm going to try to make the argument that like philosophy is trying to, you know, teach us about how to live a good life or teach us about how to understand our consciousness, but without actually trying to reach a truth, only trying to make us think. Like, I don't know if that makes sense. I agree that philosophy can't reach the truth, but not because there's no such thing, but because the aim of philosophy is not truth to begin with, but understanding. That's so well said. Yes, like, yes, I agree completely. I 100%. Do I prefer notebooks or sketchbooks? Do you mean for my writing? I don't use like lined paper, if that's what you mean when I write. I use like blank paper. A lot of my journals are like little sketchbooks. That way I can also like draw if I want, just like be free. But yeah, the point of if the point of philosophy is understanding, then like, okay, if we make that assumption that, you know, we're not trying to find truth, that we're trying to allow people to understand things more holistically, which is what the ancient Chinese philosophers were trying to do. This is why I'm saying like Hegel was not, you know, all that for saying that, you know, you need the synthesis or the, I don't remember the first word, but it doesn't matter. Like the point, the antithesis of the point, and then the synthesis of the points. That's just yin and yang. That's just like just the understanding that you need opposites, that you need discourse, that you need debate. Like all of this stuff was already there. He just put new terminology in there, and he, you know, presented it in a different way. And I value that. I value that he presents something in a different way. I value philosophy appreciating different presentations of the same idea, because that's what leads to understanding. I do not value them saying that Hegel was a genius because he created this idea that led us to the truth. Like, no, there is no absolute truth. Like the end of, my philosophy is not up to scratch, guys, because it's been summer for so long. What was the name of his book? The end of the name of his book. The end of that book that he, you know, discusses all the different Never mind. I'm sorry. That was brain farts. It's interesting that Hegel was talking about the truth, but he meant that something else than what philosophers today usually mean by truth. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think philosophers today are much more prone to thinking of philosophy as like a science, the way that scientists think of science these days, or that scientists even think that they have a realm of justification to like talk about philosophy as scientists, because like philosophy and science, like that their goals are aligned, but they're not aligned. But yeah, I'm not sure in what sense Hegel was talking about truth, to be honest, but nonetheless, there is no absolute truth. There's truth in an empirical sense, but Hegel's talking about inner truth in our concepts. The two should not be confused. Fair point. Fair point. All right, I'm gonna go pretty soon because as you see, the lighting is terrible. I also don't know if my internet's been cutting out every now and then. But yeah, I will announce the next live stream on Instagram. So, you know, please try to join the next one. It'll probably also be on a Sunday because these are pretty chill days for me. Yeah, thank you so much for joining, Oleg and Ivan and Kay. Kay, it was so nice to see you. Like, I always love interacting with you in the comments, and it's so nice that you could join this live stream. Brechia, thank you for joining. It's so lovely to learn your name. It's such an interesting name. Hocus Pocus, Vivian, Shortnaya, Zoe, all of you. Thank you so much for joining. I will see you in the next live stream. I'll see you in a video next time I make a video. And yeah, just have a wonderful, beautiful day. Yeah, this was definitely the highlight of my day. Thank you. Bye, till next time. Yes, I hope you do too. Thank you guys. Love you guys. Take care.